Every transformation begins with a silence, so sharp it cuts through your chest. A silence where the world stops buzzing, screens stop flickering, and the noise inside your mind collapses into a single question you feel more than hear. What if the power you've been searching for was never lost, just leaking out of you every night without you noticing? The moment this thought enters your bloodstream, the room shifts, the air thickens, and something inside you refuses to remain the soft version of yourself anymore. Before we go deeper into semen retention mastery, subscribe to this channel and join our Telegram community, link below. You'll get guidance, insights, and exclusive updates designed to accelerate your growth. Stay connected. Your discipline, focus, and transformation begin right here. There's a strange electricity that rises when a man decides he's done being invisible. It starts subtle, a pulse beneath your ribs, a tightening in your posture, a new clarity behind your eyes. You can't explain it, but you can feel it. And the world feels it too. Lights seem brighter, sounds seem cleaner, and every step you take vibrates with a quiet force that wasn't there before. You haven't spoken yet, but your presence is already rewriting the space. What nobody tells you is that this shift isn't imagined. It isn't placebo. When you stop draining your essence, you begin generating a voltage that travels through your skin like a coded signal. Your breath deepens, your heartbeat steadies, and your mind sharpens into something that feels ancient. It's the moment you realize you're no longer walking through life, you're cutting through it. And everyone around you can sense it before you open your mouth. Women feel it first. They always do. Not intellectually, not logically, but biologically. There's a primal part of their nervous system that responds to a man with grounded charge. They don't need to hear you speak or watch you move. They feel the pressure of your presence as if the air grew heavier. It's an instinct older than language, a vibration that travels deeper than sound. And suddenly, the gaze you once struggled to hold becomes a magnet instead of a wall. This is where the suspense begins, because you start to notice something unsettling. People look at you longer. Strangers move differently around you. Silence feels less like a gap and more like a power you carry. You're not trying to be anything. You're just existing with energy that used to drain out of you. And this alone changes the entire rhythm of your reality. Modern men never experience this. They live stretched thin, overstimulated, overexposed, and energetically bankrupt. They chase validation with words because their presence has nothing left to say. They speak loudly to compensate for the emptiness behind their eyes. They scroll endlessly to avoid confronting the hollowness inside their chest. It's not that they're weak. It's that their power has been leaking so long they've forgotten what it feels like to contain themselves. But when you start retaining, when you start choosing discipline over impulse, your entire field shifts. You regain something modern society trained you to ignore: the quiet fire, the grounded voltage, the slow rising storm that builds when a man decides he's done leaking his potential into empty pleasure. This is not about morality, it's about magnetism. When your essence stays inside your body becomes a transmitter. Your walk becomes heavier, your gaze becomes steadier, your silence becomes louder. Women feel it before your shadow touches the floor. Men sense it and move aside instinctively. Life responds to you rather than requiring you to force your way through. And the best part, you're not even trying. You're simply holding what was always yours. Every day you retain, the suspense deepens. You wake up feeling like something inside you is coiling tighter, preparing, gathering momentum. You catch yourself breathing slower, thinking faster, choosing differently. Your impulses weaken, your clarity strengthens, and the world stops tossing you around like a leaf. Instead, you become the storm. You become the anchor in every room you enter. This new presence is not performance, it's pressure. It's density. It's the weight of a man reclaiming his center. And when this density builds, others feel it like a change in temperature. They can't name it, but they can't ignore it. Something about you feels deliberate. Something about your energy feels expansive. Something about your existence feels like it carries consequence. A man on retention walks differently because he's not scattering his attention. He's not drowning in guilt or overstimulation. He's not sprinting after validation. He's moving with a sense of direction that only comes from internal fullness. Every step lands with intent instead of noise. Every breath feels like fuel instead of escape. This is why women sense your field before you speak. Their bodies detect coherence, groundedness, and charge like antennas, scanning for frequency. When your energy is scattered, they feel it as instability. When your essence is depleted, they feel it as absence. But when you retain, when your discipline aligns your body and mind into one unified current, they feel that too. And the reaction is instant. Their eyes linger. Their breath changes. Their posture shifts. They don't consciously process it, but their entire system registers your presence as a gravitational pull, a force instead of a noise. a signal instead of static. You become the type of man whose silence carries more depth than another man's words. And the truth becomes impossible to unsee. Attraction is energetic long before it becomes physical or verbal. Presence is the first language, and retention is the amplifier. Ancient civilizations understood this intuitively. They knew a man's essence was not casual. They knew discipline created aura. They understood that a man's presence wasn't just personality, it was power, cultivated through restraint, silence, ritual, and inner alignment. Their leaders were formed through hardship, their warriors through abstinence, their shamans through withdrawal from indulgence. They shaped men whose aura wasn't loud, it was heavy. Today, our culture creates the opposite. It breeds overstimulation, softness, compulsiveness, and distraction. It places men in cycles of depletion disguised as pleasure. It replaces initiation with entertainment. It exchanges discipline for convenience. And the result is a generation of men who feel invisible even when they try their hardest to be seen. But there's a rebellion, rise in quiet, unadvertised and unstoppable. It begins with a man choosing to hold his power instead of releasing it into nothingness. It begins with retention. It begins with you. Once you start retaining, you sense the shift immediately. Your energy stops being horizontal and becomes vertical. It rises, circulates, sharpens. Your mind stops racing and starts cutting. Your attention stops leaking and starts locking. Women sense this verticality like a subconscious signal of safety, strength, and direction. Retention doesn't just change your chemistry. It changes your architecture. Your spine straightens because your body intuitively anchors the rising charge. Your breath deepens because your lungs want to carry more fuel. Your jaw relaxes because you're no longer fighting internal chaos. Your eyes sharpen because your brain is finally fed. And your aura thickens because your presence is no longer This becomes your new baseline, but the suspense is far from over. The deeper you go, the more intense the transformation becomes. The world begins interacting with you differently. People treat you with unexpected seriousness. Opportunities open that once ignored you. Conversations shift tone the moment you enter the space. Your silence creates pressure others feel obligated to match. You start realizing something monumental. Retention doesn't just attract women, it attracts respect. It attracts opportunity. It attracts alignment, because the world responds to coherence, and retention creates coherence in a man like nothing else. Your focus intensifies. Your ambition sharpens. Your creativity spikes. Your resilience thickens. You stop running from challenges and start running into them. Your energy becomes too valuable to waste on things that drain you. Your standards rise without effort. Your habits clean themselves up because internal power demands external order. And in the middle of this transformation, the feminine feels the shift before anyone else. They read energy like text. They sense stability like scent. They feel retention as a frequency, not an action. It's not about being flashy or loud. It's about being grounded, aligned, and internally charged. That's what pulls them in. That's what makes silence feel like conversation. That's what makes presence feel like gravity. Retention makes your aura dense. Not dark, not dense. A density that communicates safety, direction, potential, and emotional bandwidth. A density that says, you're not scattered, you're not impulsive, you're not lost, you're not fragile. You're a man who carries himself with the type of power that doesn't need to brag. This is why eye contact changes first. When you look at people, they feel something behind your gaze. Not arrogance, not challenge, just clarity. You're not blinking away. You're not shrinking. You're not rushing. You're just there fully, completely, undeniably present. And that presence hits harder than any line you could speak. Silence becomes your advantage. While others scramble to fill gaps with noise, you let the gap work for you. People lean in. They anticipate. They feel your field before they hear your voice. This is the unspoken storm that retention unlocks. As days turn to weeks, your energy stops being inconsistent and becomes a signature. A recognizable aura that others associate with you even when you're not in the room. People describe you with words like grounded, intense, focused, or different. They can't articulate why, but the impression remains. This is the essence of masculine ascension. To walk into the world with energy so contained, so sharpened, so intentional that everything around you adjusts. The suspense of retention isn't about waiting, it's about becoming. Becoming the version of yourself you instinctively knew existed but never had the discipline to meet. Becoming the man whose energy speaks louder than his voice. Becoming the centered force that others orbit instead of the scattered noise that disappears. And once you taste this presence, returning to your old habits feels like betrayal. You start realizing that every release steals the density you've worked so hard to build. Every indulgence breaks the momentum you earned. Every relapse scatters the power you spent days consolidating. This awareness becomes its own discipline, not out of guilt, but out of clarity. Because now you know what it feels like to be full, to walk in alignment, to carry magnetic silence, to speak with presence, to breathe with direction, to look without flinching, to exist without leaking. Retention becomes less of a practice and more of a lifestyle, a statement of intent, a decision to live with your power intact rather than diluted. And this decision radiates through everything: your body, your mind, your energy, your relationships, your ambitions, your results. Women feel this instantly because their bodies are wired to detect it. Not for validation, not for ego, but for evolutionary instinct. A charged man signals direction, protection, vitality, and coherence. A depleted man signals risk, instability, fragility, and noise. You choose which signal you carry. If this video gave you real value, tap the thanks button. Your support helps me keep creating deeper content like this. Every thanks is a spark that keeps this mission alive. Your support means more than you know. Retention is the doorway. Discipline is the path. Presence is the reward. And the world, especially the feminine, responds long before you open your mouth. When you hold your essence, you hold your destiny. When you stop leaking, you start leading. When you retain, you rise. Not loudly, not aggressively, but inevitably. Your aura becomes a silent announcement. Your presence becomes a quiet storm. Your energy becomes your introduction. And before you say a single word, she already knows.